Good morning, you guys. Thanks for being here. We are going to be talking about our Open Enrollment 2017. You should have received an email yesterday morning. Hopefully, anyone with RECON email addresses would have gotten it to your email, to your work email. That has instructions on your username, your password, and the website. We are in a new enrollment, with a new enrollment company now. So anything you used before now, a password that you set up before when you did enrollment, that's going away. I mean, you can use the password again, but you're going to have to, as an initial password, you're going to use what your email sent you, which is your social. So we'll talk more about how to get to that at the very end so that it's fresh on your mind when you are done with the meeting. But wanted to let you guys know, open enrollment started yesterday, April the 3rd, goes through Friday a week from this week, Friday the 14th. We were reminded yesterday that that is a holiday, a company holiday, so we won't be in the office. But obviously, with it being, yes, it is Good Friday, so, you know, we won't be here, but the website, of course, is, you know, doesn't pay attention to holidays. So you will be able to access all day Friday. Will be your last day to be able to get in and elect benefits. One of the big things, we are recording, as we said. We're going to be able to, hopefully, depending on the audio and how all that comes out, we're going to try to post a link on our benefits website of this recording. As soon as we get that done and that's ready to go, we'll send out an email to everybody, let y'all know if you want to review this again, or if you know of somebody that didn't get to listen in or wasn't able to come to our meetings here at corporate. We'll try to get that online as quickly as possible. So if you are listening in and you have questions during the meeting, go ahead and type those up in the questions section of the website, and then we're going to compile all of those with answers and send out an FAQ email as well. Hopefully that will help answer at least some of the questions you guys might have in general. All right, so the biggest thing we want to make sure you guys understand is that enrollment is mandatory this year. We are not, everything is electronic, so you don't have your packets. We haven't sent out packets to anyone at the job site. But that email, again, as I said earlier, will give you everything you need. And it also, there's also a link in there for what we used to have, those packets, the employee benefits guide. You're going to go to the correct link to your medical plan, and you'll be able to see everything that you need to know about the benefits plan there. Today, we're just going to, you know, do some highlights of each plan, but make sure you go and review that employee benefits guide for more details about each of the plans. Nothing is going to roll over into May, so whatever you have now, you do have to go online and select what you want for May. That's due to plan changes. Obviously, we're going to talk about, you know, we've had medical plan changes in our carriers. We're going to go into more detail here in a little bit about that. We've had supplemental plan changes. We're moving from Allstate to Guardian on those plans. So, you know, we can't choose those for you, so everybody has to go in and select. You know, if you want to keep a similar type plan, you'll be able to do that more than likely. But if you don't, go in and enroll. And please help me pass the word out to anybody you speak to. Make sure they understand that if you don't get in by April 14th to select what you want for May, we're not going to automatically take care of that for you. We won't be able to because of the changes. So please, please, please make sure you get in line by April 14th. Just a quick recap. I know everybody, at least in this meeting, has been here before, been here a while, but our eligibility information is that you have to be an employee full-time. That means at least 30 hours a week. And your benefits are going to be effective first of the month following 60 days. Just so you guys know, since we typed this up, we actually were able to get the medical plan effective for anybody that's a new hire, effective first of the month following their hire date. That's just for the medical plan. Everything else is 60 days, just like it's always been. Your dependents are considered your legal spouse, domestic partner. If you have a domestic partner, there is another form that needs to be completed called a domestic partner affidavit. And it also includes your children under the age of 26, whether or not they're full-time students and whether or not they are married, they can continue to stay on your plan until they turn 26, and then they drop off those plans at the end of the month in which they turn 26. That makes sense? Anybody have any questions? Oh, thank you. Yeah, on the on your spouse, RECON's medical plan. We've had this working spouse provision in place for several years, but what that is if your spouse is employed somewhere else and has access to medical coverage through their own employer, then they cannot be on RECON's plan. If you do want to cover them and they don't meet that requirement, if they work somewhere else but they're part-time, or they work somewhere else and their employer doesn't offer benefits to them, or they're self-employed or not employed, then they can be on RECON's plan, but you do have to submit the working spouse form. You'll see a link for that as you go through the enrollment process. It's in big red letters. It's telling you the same thing I'm telling you now. And then there's a link at the bottom. You'll click that and then print off that PDF and return that PDF for me. So if you are including your spouse on the medical plan, you also have to return that working spouse form so that we can confirm that they're eligible to be on a RECON plan. All right, we're going to move on to the BlueCross BlueShield plan. As we mentioned, we're switching carriers. Pam from Kano's Partners, who's our broker, is going to walk us through that. We'll let Pam take over.
Okay, good morning, everybody. As Joy mentioned, my name is Pam Henry. I work for Kano's Partners. Actually, before I came to Kano's, I actually used to work for BlueCross, so know a little bit about their business. But what we have offered here for everyone, starting as of May 1st, we have basically your same plans that you had before with UHC, but now everything's going to be under the BlueCross realm, and we've improved things a little bit for you, okay? The first plan we want to talk about is the HSA plan. How many people are on the HSA plan right now? Okay. First thing I want to tell you, and I know this is skipping ahead, but everybody's thinking, okay, so we had HSA with UHC before, and we had our Optum Bank HSA card. Those are going to stay in place. The Optum Bank is not actually attached to UHC. It can go with anybody. So everybody that has that account can still bring that over here. On the HSA plan itself, you do actually have the option for out-of-network benefits that we didn't have last year. But I'll tell you, you'll get a whole lot more bang for your buck as long as you stay in-network rather than go out-of-network, okay? If you stay in-network, whether you're in or out, on an HSA plan, it is a high-deductible health plan. All of your initial expenses, you pay out of pocket until you reach the deductible. In this case, in the in-network side, we have $3,000 for an individual and $6,000 for a family, okay? So if you're going to the doctor you're sick for whatever, you pay the whole bill, it counts towards your deductible. You need to have some testing done for whatever, you pay that whole bill, whether it's x-ray, MRI, whatever, you're paying the whole thing until, in your case, I'll just say an individual, until it reaches your $3,000, okay? After that, the plan will pay 80% of your expenses, you will pay 20%, okay? Until your total, your deductible and your 20% add up to your maximum in-network out-of-pocket. For an individual, it's $5,950, and for a family, is $11,900, okay? After you reach those maximum out-of-pockets, the plan pays 100%, okay? Seems like a lot, but if you stop and think about it, if you're the kind of person that you do what you're supposed to, you go in and you get your annual exams, your preventive care, that's all covered at 100%. You don't have to pay a dime for those things, okay? That includes your regular doctor visit, make sure your blood work's okay. It includes, for men, your PSA tests, females, your well woman exam, your mammograms, thank you. Get a word real quick. All of that is included on that, all right? Nice thing to note on the HSA account, RECON actually contributes to your account $250 every quarter, okay? Now, I know you have to have been here for the whole quarter to get it. What was the rule?
If you are newly enrolled, then you will only get the next quarter that's available once you open your account. So, for instance, if someone signs up May 1, you'll get that May quarter, but you can't go back and get the prior February. You just get any quarters going forward. And you do have to have an open account to be able to get that.
Yes. The nice thing about that is all of your expenses. You know how I said everything that you're paying for up front until you meet the deductible? If you're contributing to your HSA account, that's what that account is for, is to pay those expenses for you. And the part that you put into your account, it comes out of your paycheck tax-free. So you're saving taxes, you're saving money on staying in network, taking the money out of your HSA account. RECON's being very nice and giving you $250 a quarter. It's well worth it. All right? So if you think about what kind of expenses you have over the course of the year, you got to think a little bit longer term on this. It's not just, oh, I just want to pay a copay. Think savings over not just this year, but next year until retirement and such. A little financial planning for you. The other nice thing about the HSA account is you may have been exposed to flexible spending accounts before. In a flexible spending account, if you had that, you had to use your entire account value by the end of the year or you lost it. HSA accounts, that is not the case. So if you have a good year and you didn't use everything in there, it rolls over to next year and next year. And a lot of people find that by the time retirement comes around, they've got a nice little chunk in there, okay?
The other thing is if you were on your plan individually, but you have family on a different plan or a dependent on a different plan, you can use your HSA funds to pay for your dependent expenses, health expenses. They still obviously have to meet the requirement of what the IRS allows, but you can pay for their co-pays, you can pay for their pharmacy, their dental bills, even if they're not on your particular plan.
All right, pop over to the next. Oh, we didn't talk about the limits. Sorry. Sorry. The annual limits for an HSA account, the actual account, the IRS says that an individual can put a total of $3,400 in there, and a family can do $6,750. So you want to think, if you're going to be in this for the entire year, and RECON is giving you $250 each quarter, that's basically $1,000. So what you can put in is another $2,400 to make the total $3,400. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, now we can. Thank you. Okay, the other plan we have to choose from with Blue Cross is the Blue Choice PPO. This is a plan that does have co-pays on it. And here again, we've got out-of-network benefits if you want. But like I said, you're going to get a better bang for your buck if you stay in network. This is a plan that it has the regular co-pays. It does still have a deductible and such, but you don't have to meet your deductible first before you have co-pays. Your deductible, if it's just you, is $1,500 for the year. If you have an entire family, it's $3,000. If you are paying toward deductible expenses on those things, once you've met your $1,500 or $3,000, whatever expenses beyond that, the plan pays 80%, you pay 20%, okay? Until your 20% add up to your maximum out-of-pocket for the year. In this case, for an individual, it's $3,500. For a family, it's $7,000, okay? The co-pays we were talking about. If you need to go to the doctor for a regular office visit, not your preventive care. Just as in the HSA plan, preventive care is covered at 100%. And that's including your kids, vaccinations, whatever, all right? But an office visit for a sick visit, let's say, it's $25 if you go to a regular primary care type of physician. If you go to a specialist, it's the same $25. Good to know, yeah. If you have to go to urgent care, it's a $35 copay. And then if you're going to the emergency room, it's a $250 copay. All right? But I'm going to tell everybody, I want you to stop and think about those. All right? Urgent care versus emergency care. When do you go to which one? I will tell you, as Betty said yesterday, if you're bleeding out of your eye, you go to the emergency room. Emergency room is just that. Think of it as basically a life-threatening emergency. All right? Just about anything else, you can go to an urgent care. First of all, you can save yourself how much money. Secondly, if you are in the emergency room and you yourself weren't sick to begin with, you will be sick by the time you got out because of everybody else that is sitting there waiting. And if you go to the emergency room for something that is not an emergency, it is not a first come, first served basis. It's triage, and the worst case goes in. So everybody that's worse off than you are is going to be cutting in front of you, and you're going to be sitting there for hours on end getting sick. So think, you know, it's your money, it's your time. Do what you can to save both. How's that?
One of the other things that was brought up was that when you go to an emergency care or emergency room, that $250 gets you in the door and on their list. It's a facility charge. Once they see you, you're going to have all these additional charges, whether it's your physician or radiology or whatever else they have to do. That $250 does not cover that. The $35 urgent care is all in one bill. So if they do anything else at that urgent care center, you're not going to pay anything above the $35. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
And too, the physicians in the emergency rooms, usually they don't work for the actual hospital that you're at. They are not contracted, and so you're going to get an out-of-network bill for that physician. So it's not just $250. Okay. On drug card copays, we have, if you're going to a retail center, okay, whether, you know, Walgreens, CVS, HEB, Kroger's, whatever. Oh, not CVS, I'm sorry. Thank you. Not CVS. It rolls off the tongue there. CVS is not included with Blue Cross. They took them off the list first of the year, and basically CVS wanted too much money for everything, and Blue Cross didn't want their members to have to pay that. So you can go to just about anybody else except for CVS. Thank you. Anyway, so for a generic, you're going to pay $20. For a preferred brand, you're going to pay $40, and $60 for a non-preferred brand. And I'll tell you about those a little bit more on another page here. If you use mail order, okay, if you take any maintenance drugs, I'm not talking like an antibiotic because you just got the flu or whatever, but blood pressure, cholesterol meds, something that you're going to be on for an extended period of time. Mail order, it's $50 for generic, $100 for preferred brand, and $150 for non-preferred brand. But the beauty of this is, on the retail, you get a 30-day supply, but on the mail order, you get a 90-day supply, but you're only paying 2.5 copays. So save yourself a few shekels there as well. All right?
And that's just a matter of asking your physician for a prescription for 90 days. Just tell them I'm going to be doing a mail order, so I need a 90-day prescription, and they'll fill it out for the rest of it.
Actually, ask them to make sure that it lasts for a year, filled in 90-day increments, because you don't want to have to go back 47 times. The other nice thing here, as it says on the screen here, this is a buy-up plan, but because of costs and such, RECON not only pays for the employee cost here, but is also paying about 15% of your dependents as well. That's huge. You get a Wahoo or something.
Yeah, you guys probably saw the email that came in from Dawn talking a little bit about why we're changing carriers. United Healthcare came in at, they went as low as 24% increase. And so we had to go out to shop and see if we could find a better deal. Blue Cross came in at a 10% increase of what we currently had. So that's why we switched to Blue Cross. That's one of the main reasons. But they also offered us the out-of-network benefits and some other things that were much better, like the specialty office care visit was the same as the regular office visit. But RECON, even, as I said, that was a 10% increase. RECON absorbed most of that. So to us, as employees, we're seeing about a 2% increase across the board average. And that's because they also picked up additional dependent coverage. They used to not cover any dependent care at all for coverage. And last year they increased a little bit. This year it's about a 15%. So if you have dependents on your plan, RECON's paying for a portion of that, which is a huge benefit to each of them. All right, any questions on the plans themselves?
Okay, here's some things that we want you to think about we need to get taken care of before 5/1 when the plan actually changes, okay? Anybody that is on any prescriptions, if you've got something that can be filled before the 1st of May, get it done, okay? We're not saying that anything is going to go wrong, but we just want to protect anybody from any glitches in case they happen. I don't want to hear of somebody on the 1st of May at 7:30 a.m., I'm standing at the pharmacy and they won't cover whatever. Get it taken care of ahead of time just in case. We always know that if it can go wrong, it will go wrong, and I don't want any of you to be the person testing it, okay? As well, you want to think about, too, as Joy was mentioning, get your mail order prescription from your doctor so they can send it in for mail order if that's what you're going to do. We want you to make sure that you go on to the My UHC website, okay? We want you to look at your deductibles and your out-of-pocket, how much you've already met for the year, because while our plan year is May 1 to 4/30, the benefit year is 1/1 to 12/31, okay? So we want to make sure Blue Cross is being nice and giving us credit for everything we've already met since the first of the year, okay? So I want you to know where you are on this. We are going to get reports from UHC and load those into Blue Cross. However, the first report we get isn't going to happen until at least the middle of May, okay? We will go back and get another report in August in case there were some late filed claims or whatever to clean up the last of everything. But if you need any services in the beginning of May and you've already met a lot of your deductible or whatever, we want to make sure that you get credit for that before that claim is processed. You don't want to see that explanation of benefits, or EOB as we call it. You don't want to see that showing up in your mail at home saying you owe for everything on here, and you're thinking, hey, wait, I already paid all of this. Print it off before we get over there. If you do have something that has to be done right away, you can send a copy of that EOB to me, and I can get it to the Blue Cross person that we can get it sent in and not have any questions up front. All right? Also, you will continue to have access to the UHC website for at least 90 days. In a lot of cases, I'm told it's actually going to be 180, but you have at least 90. So, and anybody that's taking advantage of the rally credits, make sure you cash in your rewards or whatever before we get out of there.
Just a note on that, they were telling us yesterday that Blue Cross has something similar. I don't know if any of you guys do the rally where you get the gift cards and rewards for you earn different points doing different things. Well, Blue Cross has something similar. It's called Blue Points. So if you're, if you like that and you like getting free money, check out Blue Points on their website and sign up for that.
Yeah, with that, it's basically you can go in and do wellness type activities. If you got your preventive care visit done, go in there, log it in, you get points for that. If you get, your kids, whatever, go in, you get your points for that. And then they have prizes. Oh yeah, if you do a health assessment, all of those things you get points for. If you have a Fitbit or whatever, you can track your stuff, load that on there, all kinds of stuff. But then you get points and you can use them toward a lot of things, towards getting a Fitbit if you don't have one, or you can get iPods, all sorts of stuff. Discounts to different things, so at least check it out, okay?
Is that similar to the Vitality?
Yes, very similar. Yeah, basically every carrier has their name brand for it. Also, I want you to go on the Blue Cross website. Verify where your doctors are. Blue Cross has just about the biggest website across the country, okay? But make sure your doctors are in network, okay? Make sure your nearest hospital or the one that you like is in network. And look up, I'm sorry. Okay. And you want to look up, if you are taking prescriptions on a regular basis, you want to look at the Blue Cross prescription list to find out what tier your specific drug is on. If you find out it's on the top tier or whatever, if you've taken something else before that, your doctor just switched you to something and you knew the other one still worked and it might be in a lower tier, check it out. Just things to think about. I take my list every year to my doctor for my wellness visit and say, is there anything else I should be on here instead of what I'm on, type of thing.
And a little tidbit too, I was actually talking to someone this morning, and she was saying that sometimes your medication might be more expensive through insurance, and it's kind of a crazy concept, but if it's more expensive that way, you can also, like Walgreens has their own pharmacy little group. You can pay, I think it's like $25 a year to be on their pharmacy membership, and then she could get her prescriptions for $4 through that Walgreens without using her insurance, whereas with insurance it cost her $30. So those are kind of little things you can shop around to. I know it's kind of crazy to go, oh, okay, I'll have to do all this work, but it's worth it if you kind of figure out the tricks of the trade and keep your eyes open to those kind of
Yes,
options.
definitely. One of the things we've got down here is check your mobile app, your phone for mobile apps. One of the things that was mentioned, there is an app called GoodRx. You can just go on the internet and get it too. And you put in your zip code and it'll tell you the prices of specific drugs at pharmacies in your area. One of the things I usually tell people is Walmart has them too, the $4 generics and stuff. Costco has cheap stuff. I am a Plus member at Sam's. There's a whole bunch of drugs that I can get for a $0 copay. Nothing when I go to Sam's. So 2 of my drugs don't cost me a dime. Something to, and Sam's, you can go in even if you're not a member yet, and Costco does too. They print a new list of all of their meds and what the prices are every quarter. You can just, you don't have to be a member. You can walk in and say, I'm going to the pharmacy, and you can get their list anytime. And you can use the pharmacy there anytime. You have to be a Plus member to get the $0 copay.
These are generic drugs, though, correct?
Yes, yes. So, but hey, if it works, and
No, I
doesn't do
agree.
anything, I'm
I
doing
agree.
it.
And what is legally? What is the percent of differences in fillers that they can use in those drugs?
It has to be, the actual drug has to be the exact same chemical makeup.
Right.
The percentage of other fillers, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It cannot be much though.
I've heard different numbers. That's why I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, some of them may vary in the color dye or something, but the fillers and stuff, they can't be too different. Other things we want you to note, as I mentioned, going on the BlueCross website, there's also a BlueCross app on your phone. You can get to, on BlueCross, they call it Blue Access for members. Everything with BlueCross has a blue something, blue points, blue access, blue whatever. Our PPO plan is called Blue Choice, you know, it's all blue. So there's an app on there. I usually tell everybody, make sure you download that. If you've got kids in sports or whatever and you're playing at a field that may be on the other side of town, you're not familiar, somebody gets hurt, are you going to the emergency room? Are you going to the urgent care? Get that out. Find it right away. It works by GPS. Get your phone out. I always say hand it to the person that's in the passenger seat because you're driving. Let them look it up and make sure you can get to an urgent care unless it actually needs to be an emergency type situation. All of their Blue Finder is a part of that. It lists all their doctors, hospitals, urgent cares, and everything across the country. So if you're on vacation going to the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls or whatever, you can get on there and find doctors, hospitals, urgent care centers, whatever, across the country. As well, there's also Blue Global Core, that's hard to say. There are actually BlueCross doctors and hospitals across the globe. A few years ago, I was lucky enough to get to go to France for a week, and I actually found in Paris there were 6 hospitals that I could go to. I'm like, kind of wild, but if you need it, you need it. I had an uncle a few years ago that went to Prague, stepped off the tour bus, and shattered his ankle and had to have surgery in Prague. But he got out his BlueCross stuff, and everything was taken care of, and he got back home, and they said, that was the best work we've ever seen. They couldn't believe it. And nobody spoke the language, so but he got taken care of. Yeah. All right, I think we can.
All right. A couple of quick things I thought of too. On that BlueCross BlueShield website, BCBSTX, it's going to ask you a network. And if you're just looking for providers, we are on the Blue Choice Network, and we didn't list it on here, unfortunately. The Blue Choice Network. And it's going to look like the Blue Choice PPO plan that we have, okay? It's kind of confusing, but our entire network, which is kind of the umbrella for both of our plans, is called Blue Choice PPO. And then underneath that network, we have the Blue Edge HSA and the Blue Choice PPO plans, okay? I know I don't know why they don't call them different names, but anyway, Blue Choice PPO is our network. So when you go look for providers, that's the network you're going to be looking for. And another thing I meant to touch on earlier, our carrier is called BlueCross BlueShield of Texas. So that doesn't mean that if you're an employee that works in Virginia or lives in Virginia, Louisiana, California, you know, we've got people all across the country. This is still, if you're eligible for this plan, you will still be covered wherever it is that you live. So I don't want you to think that just because it says Texas, you can't be on this plan.
Yeah, actually, just so you know, all of the Blue Cross companies across the country, they are all linked by, it's called the Blue Cross Association. So you can access the Blue Choice PPO here for Texas is the biggest one that they've got, and that's what links to everything else across the country. So they're not going to, if you're looking up something, they're not going to send you to a network that is not going to have somebody in network for you. So,
Do you have any questions on the Blue Cross information?
all right, the next thing, Guardian Dental. This has been in place already, but just to give you a little rundown on what we've got 3 choices on dental plans for you. The first one is a DHMO, like an HMO on your medical plan, but it's dental HMO in this case. It is a managed care network. This is a type of network where you have to go in and choose a dentist right away. You'll see it when you go through your enrollment. You actually have to choose somebody off the list, okay? So you can go on to the Guardian Anytime website to look up who those are, because you have to select somebody. Now, you can go to that person for the first time if you want. If you decide, he's just not my guy kind of thing, you can change. You can change every single month if you wanted to. If you want to be effective for the first of the following month, you have to get your change into Guardian by the 5th, okay? Otherwise, it'll be the month after. Okay? Yes, sorry, thank you. All right, so for this plan, anybody that is not living in Texas is not eligible for the DHMO plan. This network is only local here, okay? So if you go to the dentist for just regular office visit, it's a $5 copay. That's it. Pretty cheap. There's no deductibles. Usually on PPO plans, you'll see there'll be a $50 deductible or whatever. It's all driven by copays, okay? There's no annual limit on this. So if you're having a year that you're having to get a few things done, it may be worthwhile to switch over to the DHMO to get some stuff done cheaper or whatever. There is orthodontia available for both kids and adults on this plan. Thinking about that, what do they call it, the clear stuff? Invisalign, yeah. So if anybody else, sorry. And basically it's a discounted rate for any procedure, but each procedure, if you look on the Guardian Anytime website, each procedure has its own cost, but you know what it is right up front, okay?
And that schedule of cost will also be listed when you're going through the enrollment site. If this plan pops up for you because you're eligible for it because you live in Texas, at the bottom of that enrollment page, you'll see a link where you can pull up the cost and kind of get an idea of what that looks like if you're interested in that.
Okay, then we have 2 different PPO plans. You'll see this one is listed as the low plan, and we'll get to the high plan in a minute here. But this is the low plan. And when we talk about dental and your types of services, there are 3 types, okay? There's your preventive, your basic, and your major. This plan here on the low plan does not pay anything for major services. So crowns, root canals, the big ticket items are not going to be covered under this plan. But if you're the type of person, basically like me, I'm there 6 months to the day to get my cleaning exam and x-ray. And I just love to hear my dentist say, you have such clean teeth, we don't have to work on them. Something about that. Anyway, it does pay for all your preventive at 100%. If you do have any basic services needing done, like heaven forbid, oh, I did get a cavity, the plan will pay, you pay $50 deductible first, then the plan pays 80%. You pay 20% up to your annual maximum of $1,000 this benefit, or this plan will pay, okay? So if it's just a cavity, you know, that's not so bad. You do get in and out of network benefits here again, but I can't say it enough. You get more bang for your buck using a dentist that's in the network because those dentists have agreed to a lower cost for their services. The other guys, you're going to go to them and the plan's going to pay 80%, but it's going to be based on 80% of what the in-network charge is. So then you're going to get the out-of-network provider is going to charge you more, plus you're going to have to pay the additional beyond just the 20%. Balanced billing, we hear the term a lot. Not a good word. All right, and now we have the high PPO plan. And this one is very similar to the last, but it adds in those major services. So if you need the crowns, the root canals, those sort of things, there is service for that. For both the type 2 and the type 3 benefits, you have to meet your $50 deductible for an individual, or it's a maximum of 3 of those for your family. So if you got 7 kids, you're still only paying them a total of 3 deductibles. But it is not a separate deductible for each of those. It's $50 for one person for the year, and it doesn't matter if you get the basic services or the major services, okay? The nice thing about this plan, and this is where I like going in and getting the, oh, you've got basically nothing going on. If you go in, you get your exam and x-ray and that sort of stuff done every 6 months. If you need just a little bit of service, like I said, you have just that one filling that you need to get or whatever, as long as you have some sort of service on there, but you don't go over $500 for the year, they'll take $250 and post it on to next year's maximum. So when you start with $1,000, okay, if you didn't use $500 in this year, next year it's not a $1,000 benefit you have, but it's $1,250, okay? And then the next year, the same thing. They'll give you $250 each time. So if, heaven forbid, there are those of us that are a little older than others, and things start to happen with your teeth later on, and you've got extra money. If you do need root canal or a crown or a bridge or something else like that, you can get those things because that $250 has rolled over for you, and you've got that full benefit then.
And what that annual maximum is, just to make sure it's clear, that's what the plan is going to pay for you, okay? So they're going to pay, your first year, they're going to pay a maximum of $1,000. So whatever services you do, they're 80%. When that adds up to $1,000 for the calendar year, once they pay that, they're not going to pay any more for the rest of the year. So if you have, a couple of crowns, that adds up pretty quick. And once they pay $1,000, they're not going to cover anything else. You're going to be 100% out of pocket for anything additional for the year. Now, it resets January 1, so you'll get another $1,000. If you do stay under that $500 limit that the plan pays for you, then you get that extra $250. So then next year you have $1,250 that the plan will pay for you. Does that make sense?
I see a lot of people, in case anybody's thinking about any of this, when we're talking about things like root canals and then you need a crown or whatever, a lot of people wait and do it all over the holidays and start with whatever in December and wait for the new $1,000 to take care of the back end of it in January. But then you're basically done, have spent your $1,000 in both plan years. But if you get a couple of good years under your belt first, then you got your 250s going with you then too. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. And as always, staying in network is much better. We also have our vision plan offered through Guardian. It's done through the VSP Choice Network. So VSP normally, they contract with individual providers, okay? You're not going to necessarily find lens crafters or any major chain names in there. You're going to find individual doctor names in there, okay? So if you're looking for just the chains, you're not going to see them, all right? It's the same coverage we've had before. Nothing's changing, but just to give you a rundown, as long as you stay in network, if you go in for your regular exam, it's only $10, okay? If you do need to get lenses, frames, contacts, whatever, if you get contacts, you have a $25 copay, and then the plan pays for up to $130 after that, okay? If you have need new glasses, you're going to get frames. It's a $25 copay again. They'll pay up to $130 and 80% of charges after the $130 allowance, okay? They give you a little discount on that. Standard plastic lenses, they'll pay, you pay a $25 copay for the regular plastic lenses. If you want more detailed lenses and frames like these things, they, you still pay, but you get discounts on all of that sort of thing. If you go out of network, okay, the exam, they're only going to pay up to $39 for that exam. A normal exam is going to be $75 to $125, depending on where you go, and they're only going to pay for $39. So go in network, okay? Contact lenses, they'll allow up to $100 for your contacts. Frames, they'll allow up to $46. And plastic lenses, they'll give you $23 for single lenses, $37 for bifocals, or $49 for trifocals. That's to stay in network.
I will tell you, we go to the TSO, and they are in VSP, so that's one of those chains that is included in the VSP network. And you can go to VSP.com, select the choice network, and you put your zip code in, and you'll get the list of all of those visions. This plan, just so you guys know, is a standalone plan. So you're paying, extra to have vision coverage, which offers you all of these benefits. If you don't want the standalone plan and you have a dental plan in place, there is a discount vision coverage with the dental. It's not nearly as comprehensive as this is, but you get a little bit of a discount on frames, like a 20 or 25% discount on frames and that kind of thing. So you have something if you have a dental plan that's included for free. This is separate. And one other note before we move on to other plans, I wanted to remind you guys, the medical, the dental, and the vision that we just talked about, those are all pre-tax plans. So these are the main plans that whatever you choose now, effective May 1, has to stay in place the rest of the plan year through April 30th. The IRS won't allow us to make changes to those plans. So if you elect it or you don't elect it or you have dependents, whatever you have, effective May 1, stays in place through April 30th. Unless you have a qualifying life event, and those are specific by the IRS, whether you're married, divorced, birth, death, adoption of a child, those major life events, then they allow us a change to any plans, including these, within a 30-day window of that date of event, but then you have to provide proof of that, like a marriage certificate or a birth certificate or whatever. So they can change if you have a life event, but outside of those, whatever you choose now will stay in place through April 30th. Any questions? All right.
Got a smart group.
All right. Sherry is our representative that takes care of all of our supplemental plans, so she's going to walk us through those.
Yeah, so it's good to see you guys again. We're making a change, first time that we have done this. We're moving to Guardian for the voluntary benefits, and there was a variety of reasons to do this, but the good news is there's the plus to bring in a new benefit for you. And I'll point those out as we go along. The term life insurance, a lot of y'all have the term life insurance for yourself, your spouse, and your children. Good news is, in red, when you bring in a new plan like this for a group, a large group like you guys, it can be guaranteed issue, okay? Guardian went ahead and bumped up the guaranteed issue amount for the term life for you all as employees to $150,000. So Allstate was a max of $100,000. So it's up to $150,000, and you can actually cover up to $500,000 on yourself. You'd have to answer medical questions beyond the $150,000, but that's pretty high, and you didn't have anything that went that high before. Guaranteed issue is a big deal, okay? It's no health questions, guys. So I encourage you, and I've always told y'all year after year that these benefits are portable. Life insurance, it works a little bit differently than the cancer, critical illness, and accident. With life, you actually convert it. Port means I'm taking it from here and I'm putting it over here. Payroll deduct to bank draft. Converting it means I'm turning it in from term life insurance to a whole life or universal life product. It gets a lot more expensive. Most people with life insurance, they don't convert it. It just gets too expensive. So take advantage of the guaranteed issue opportunity. Probably most of us don't have enough life insurance for an unexpected, event, like a sudden death. So $150,000, no questions for you all as the employees, up to $50,000, used to be $20,000 with Allstate, but up to $50,000 for your spouse is guaranteed issue. And they can have a maximum of 50% of what you take. If you take the $500,000, your spouse can have the $250,000, but they will have to answer medical questions for anything above that 50. Y'all understand how that works. And children are always guaranteed issue no matter what. It's $10,000, same rate. I think Joyce said it's about 92 cents a week. If you have one child of 4, it's the same rate. So be sure to look on that. I think that what they were able to do with Benefit Passport, your new electronic enrollment platform, was to key in, and it's for the life as well, right? To key in to show you, to remind you what you had. So but again, you only had a maximum of certain because Allstate doesn't went that far. But that kind of gives you guys a reminder of what did I have and what do I want.
What that's going to look like when you go through the enrollment process, for these voluntary plans, for the supplemental plans, it will actually default the little radio button, you know, where you choose what you want. There's a little circle, and then you click on that circle to fill it in. It's going to be pre-filled to whatever you currently have in place. So with our old enrollment website, it would show you, you know, you have term life for $100,000 and it costs you this much is what you have now, and then underneath that it would show you what you want to elect. We're not going to actually have the words showing you what you have in place, but it will default to whatever the plan is that you have now. So that's how you will know what you have currently is wherever that little filled-in circle is.
Yeah, and you do need to click the button and then determine, you know, select specifically what it is that you want. So that's the life insurance benefit from Guardian. The next are the
well, one more thing I was going to say, sorry, Sherry,
no,
was that as she talked about, the Allstate are the ones, because our group is no longer going to carry Allstate, that's why those plans would be converted, your term life would be converted, because our group plan will end April 30th, okay? So because that group plan is no longer in place May 1, if you wanted to keep the term life that you have with Allstate, you can, but it will convert to a whole or universal type of policy if you wanted to keep it. You can't have more than one term life policy. You can have that. You can keep the one through Allstate. You can take this one up with Guardian. You can have your own somewhere else. You can have as many as you want. You know, obviously, you'll want to keep track of the cost, but that's why that's going to be converted. If you elect this Guardian plan starting May 1, and you were to leave RECON at some point, say, you know, you end up leaving in September, or you retire or whatever, you will be able to continue to carry this plan because we have it as a group. You'll be able to keep this as a term life plan. Does that make sense? As long as we're carrying it as RECON as a group policy, when you leave, you can take it with you, however it is that we have it in place.
So the plan I have today, I can continue on.
You can continue the term life, yes, but it will become a different type of plan because we're not going to be carrying it as a group anymore. Increase.
But you can get the packet. I mean, we have had a person or two that have left and retired or whatnot, and due to health reasons, they just went ahead and converted it to keep it. But we can get you a packet. It's called a conversion package. And we can get you that. But if you want to keep it, otherwise, jump on while you can without any.
Right, exactly. Because now we used to 100,000 was the maximum you could get without any questions at the first time it was offered to you. Now it's 150 with no questions. Now that's only for this first enrollment period, okay? Once it's been offered to you once, you can, you know, September, October, whenever you want, you can call me because this is an after-tax plan, so you can elect it or change it at any time. You can say, you know what, I want to pick up that term life policy, but you will no longer have that guarantee issue. You'll have to fill out underwriting questions for any amount that you request. So the 150 is guaranteed at this time. So your old policy with RECON is not going to be 150. The maximum it would be is 100. And so, you know, your spouse could have more, you know, up to 50 if you signed up for that. But it's just a great deal. This guarantee issue is a fabulous thing for all of us across the board right now. That's going to be offered during open enrollment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Guardian did come in with the rates at about 5% less than what they had been. So that's a good thing too. They really worked hard to try to match the plans or improve them from Allstate, which was really great.
Somebody have a question?
I guess the premiums go up depending on how old you are.
With this current plan, is like 5-year, I think it's a 5-year age band. It does increase slightly, and they send us a notice at renewal time. Yes.
So if you cross over, if you enroll now and then you go into the next age band at some point this year, you won't have an instant change in rate, but you'll see it next open enrollment when we go to elect. Even if even if you keep the same plan, if you move into a new age bracket, then your rate will go up next year. That makes sense. But when you're in the enrollment portal itself, you'll have a drop down and it'll show you, you can get, the minimum you can get on this is 10,000. So you don't have to do 150. You can do 10,000 for you, which would allow you to get 5,000 for your spouse. Of course, that's still a guarantee issue. And it'll show you in your increment how much that's going to cost you a week. All right?
Mm-hmm. And the next is, this is through Guardian as well. This stayed the same, your short-term and your long-term disability. We call this basically insurance on your paycheck. So disability insurance covers us if we're unable to work due to an accident or an illness. And it's great to be offered. This is first day after an injury or 7th day after an illness, your short-term will kick in, and it'll pay 60% of your usual salary up to $1,000 a week. Okay, so this is for the person who says, I really can't go 2 weeks or a month without salary, or maybe you're the only breadwinner, then I always say if your salary is significant to the household, disability insurance is something to look at. It's probably one of the most underutilized insurance, enrolled in, but it's probably one of the most important, because without our salary, everything stops, right? Our bills don't stop, but I mean, everything kind of starts shutting down without our salary. So just take a look at the rates. It's for off-the-job accident or any type of illness, that would include pregnancy. I'm sure there's a waiting period on the pregnancy. It's probably a 9 month, usually a 10-month waiting period. So you can't get on the disability just because you got pregnant. Usually there's a 10-month wait for pregnancy. The short-term pays up to 13 weeks, and then it just goes right into your long-term disability if you continue to be unable to return to work. This benefit is paid 100% by you, the employee, so it's a short-term. It's for on or off the job at this point, or any illness. So it begins after the 13th week of the short-term ends. It pays up to 60% of your salary to a maximum of $10,000 a month benefit to you, up to the age of Social Security or normal retirement. So Social Security used to be 65, I guess, depending on our birthdays. For some younger folks, they're gonna bump it up, I think, to 70, or I'm not sure what it is at this point, but
67 and a half.
67 and a half, and I'm sure it's kind of, because people are working and living longer. So any questions about the disability?
If you're not a new hire and you haven't elected this plan and you go and elect it now, you will have to answer, I think it's like 5 questions. You go through underwriting process, but it's really not a difficult process. So if you see that pop up, go ahead and answer it and send it back into Guardian and for that underwriting approval. Real quick, wanted to throw this in there, kind of break up the benefits. The 401k plan, we kind of mention this every open enrollment. Even though there's not really an open enrollment for 401k, once you become eligible after 90 days of employment, then it's just an ongoing plan. It's really not, an in and out type thing on this plan, an open enrollment. But just wanted to kind of remind you, because it is a great benefit that RECON offers its employees. Automatic enrollment means if you haven't done anything to your contributions, if you don't remember making a change, and if you didn't opt out originally, you're automatically enrolled. And that's when you, as soon as you started, you began a 2% contribution from your paycheck into your retirement account, and then RECON matches 50% of what you put in. So you've been putting in 3%, 2% of yours, and RECON's percent into your savings account every week. If you are an automatic enrollment person, if that's what your category is, and you've been in the plan for a full year, January 1 of this year, of 2017, we started what's called an automatic increase to your contribution. And so you were at 2%, you met a full plan year's eligibility. So January, we moved you up to a 3% automatically. We did send out minimums. We didn't do that without letting you know. But so now you're doing a 3% if you're an automatic. Next year we'll do 4%, and that'll happen annually until you reach 6%. Once you reach 6%, then you won't increase anymore automatically. Now, two things. If you don't want to do that, you can certainly opt out. You can go in and change your contribution, of course, anytime on a monthly basis. You do that by going to the Transamerica website. You log in and you go into your profile and say, I want to change my contribution. You can do it to a different percentage. You can do it to a dollar amount if that's easier for you to track out of your paycheck on a weekly basis. Just a little tidbit here when we're talking about dollars and percentages. I want to let you guys know bonuses were just paid out, I think, this past month. Want to let you know that if you're on the percentage, if you're doing a percentage contribution, that percent means that's how you want to pay a percent of your paycheck to your retirement account. So that's going to come out of however many paychecks you have. So it came out of your regular weekly paycheck and it came out of your bonus paycheck, okay, because it's a percent of your salary. If you don't want to take that contribution, the 401k contribution from your bonus, then you want to move to a dollar amount, because by saying a dollar, that you're saying, I want to do $50 a week to my 401k, and so it's only going to come out of your regular weekly paycheck, and then your entire bonus will go straight to you, and nothing else will go to your 401k. So that's something that I want to make sure you guys understand. Of course, you know, you can do a dollar amount for that month and then go back to a percentage if you like doing that the next month. The 25th of every month is kind of the deadline date to change for next month. So if you want to change your contribution, go online by the 25th of any month, and it'll be effective the first paycheck of the following month. If you don't make changes again, you're considered automatic. And just as a reminder, your 2017 maximum contribution is $18,000 per person, and that is the full amount you can put in. That doesn't include RECON's match of your funds. So if you're under 50, you can do $18,000 total. If you're 50, any time this year, if you turn 50, you can do a maximum of $24,000, and then of course RECON contribution will be above and beyond that. Make sure you always keep your beneficiary forms up to date. Just throw that in there. If you have any type of life change or you know, whatever, you want to make sure that that's in place, because otherwise, if something were to happen to you, if you were to pass away, you want to be the one that designates where that money, who gets that money. You don't want the state to be deciding that and holding on to your money until they figure out who legally is going to get that. So make sure you keep those up to date.
Can you check online to see what beneficiary?
What beneficiary? You can change your beneficiary online, yes.
Okay.
If all you've done is submitted a paper form to us, that's just sitting in your 401k file here. But yeah, you certainly can go online anytime and update or add in your beneficiary information online. Thanks, that's a good question. Anyone else? All right, Sherry? Okay.
The company was still contributing though, right?
I'm sorry?
The company's still contributing.
Yes,
to
RECON does a 50% match.
That's what I thought.
Of whatever you put in, they match 50% of up to a maximum of 3%. So if you want to maximize that free money that RECON's giving you, you want to do at least 6% of your own money, and then RECON will match 50% of that up to the 3%. If you do 7% of your own money, you're still going to get 3%, but it's 3% free money. So you know, if you don't want to miss out on free money, I'd encourage you to at least do 6%.
Yeah.
Okay. So the cancer plan that we've had through Allstate, I've always said for years that Allstate really did have, in my opinion, the most robust, the richest cancer plan on the market, and they did. Guardian did have, kind of just had a shell of this, but they went ahead and matched it, which I was very impressed with. So they kind of just custom made it for you guys because we didn't want to take anything away from what you had. So this benefit is the same, the $5,000 initial diagnosis benefit when you're diagnosed as having a malignancy, an internal type cancer. The $5,000 every 12 months toward the treatment of radiation, chemotherapy, blood plasma, platelet replacement. You still have the same benefits for the experimental treatments, benefits that are paid for, you know, transportation, for ER, for immunotherapy, MRIs, et cetera. The high option is the same. It has a $100 cancer screening, so when we go get our well woman or well man screening, the PSA or the CEA for the men, the colonoscopy, or our female exams, that shouldn't cost you anything, right? That's preventive. And we just always like to remind people, when you're getting preventive, be sure you don't talk about the sore throat or the bump on your arm or something, because now we're not in preventive anymore, right? The doctors are required to code that based on what you're asking them about. So just keep it preventive, it's free, so that $100 was just a freebie for you, right? It's just a bonus. So we'll just submit for that. And a lot of you guys do that every year. I mean, we do it. There's 3 out of the 4 of us that claim on it. It's $300 back. It helps offset the premium. But Guardian added an additional $100 for any follow-up screening. So if you go in and then you need to have a follow-up, that's an extra $100. They did keep the ICU confinement benefit of $600 a day for up to 45 days. I had a gentleman yesterday that said, wait a minute, about 2 years ago, I was in the ICU. So we're going to work on getting that back for him because it's not specific to just cancer. For any reason you end up in ICU, we can claim on that. Okay, so keep that in mind. Sometimes people forget what maybe they went through the year or so before, so it's good to just keep in mind. So that's the same benefit, the rate, they pretty much matched it right on, identical. Now, to be clear, this plan, there's one medical question, and it's kind of it's an automatic decline if it's a yes, which is, have you been diagnosed with cancer or treated, in the last 5 years? So if you have been, don't worry, we'll just keep your Allstate plan, or I would highly recommend you just keep your Allstate plan because it's portable. Whatever you're paying for now, whatever you have now, just switch it over to bank draft. It's renewable for life. Okay, so I don't want anybody to be panicked, but oh my gosh, I'm going to have to stop my benefit because you've moved it to something that maybe you're not eligible for right now. So please get with me. Joy knows how to find me very easily if you're in that situation, a coworker who might be in that situation. Otherwise, answer your question, no. If you do say yes, it's an automatic decline. But if you say yes, moving on, you've got the coverage through Guardian, and it's portable as well. You'll never have to convert it. It's a portable benefit.
And just a reminder, this has nothing to do with your medical plan. So you'll file your medical claims through your insurance, through BlueCross BlueShield. When you file a claim, they send you a lump sum directly to you, and you can choose whatever you want to do with that money that comes to you. So these amounts that you see on here, the $5,000 diagnosis, up to $5,000 every 12 months, that's money coming back to you. It's a check to you. The insurance never sees it. You can decide, how you're going to spend that money.
Yeah, I mean, these plans were created many, many years ago to offset the deductibles because we're all paying higher deductibles now. And sometimes people will say, well, $5,000, that's nothing if you have cancer. And that's true. It doesn't even touch it. But remember what she said, when you hit your max out of pocket, then the insurance carrier picks up 100% after that. So because with cancer, once any bit extra beyond that max out of pocket, if your insurance is covering that, this goes to just pay household bills sometimes, because with cancers, you've seen it many times where you never really can claim disability because you're not, unless it's in the late stages of it, because you are able to continue to work. You feel crummy for a week, and then maybe you have a couple of weeks break, and then they have you get the treatment again. You go through another couple of days of feeling crummy. So you miss a lot of work. It's very disruptive, and you guys know this if you've gone through it with someone or you know somebody. But so these benefits just help. They really do help offset the out-of-pocket. There's a lot of expense to cancer that we don't even think about. Just driving to MD Anderson and parking at $20 a day is expensive. Eating out. If it's your child, you're going to be there. That means you're missing work. That's not a disability. You're just missing work because you need to be there with your spouse, your child. So that's what these plans are designed for.
And even if you don't have insurance, you can elect
a
plan.
And if you have already the cancer
through Allstate,
you
can continue to carry it if you want to, and you would just bank draft because it's your individual plan. But that plan, yes, is portable, which means you can keep it exactly like it is, exact same rate. You'll just pay them directly instead of doing a payroll deduct for it, because we won't be doing payroll deducts for Allstate anymore.
You can, and some people keep it and get an additional. Well, you don't roll it over. It's a whole new policy.
Right.
So when you'll click the button, it's a whole new policy.
You'll start over. It's a very similar
policy. It matches it
policy.
identical, though.
So, you can just transition from Allstate to Guardian, and you probably won't feel a difference. You'll have a brand new policy with Guardian. And you can also choose, if you want to keep the Allstate and select the Guardian and have 2 separate policies, and you'll get paid $5,000 from each one if you file that claim. So, it's up to you. So you can keep it, you can stop the Allstate. And
if you have a history, though, you want to keep the one you got.
Yeah, you have.
Because you're not going to get this.
Exactly.
Right.
You have a history.
And you'll know. If you answer the question yes, just yeah.
If you have it existing and you have a history, Yes, you want to
Don't
keep
let
the
it go.
Allstate. Don't drop it. You will get a packet from Allstate on any of the plans that you have. They will be reminding you, you can keep this plan, you can keep this plan. So just respond back to them. If you're not interested in keeping it, you can just disregard, or if you want to call them and say, hey, quit sending me letters, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they do give you quite a few opportunities to keep it. Don't panic that, oh my gosh, it's going to be gone in a couple of weeks. I mean, they'll send you letters for several months, because sometimes people throw it away by accident, whatever. They want you to keep it. Let's see, accident plan. Accident plan it mirrored it identical as well. For the high-low option, there's the disability rider on the high option, which you had before, $250 a week up to 26 weeks. That's going to be for an accident that happens on or off the job. It has the same $40,000 for loss of life or limb. The schedule of benefits for the dislocation and fractures. You remember we kind of always went through that list. The same type benefits, same rate as far as I know, and there's no medical questions with this one at all. So if you have a child that is in sports and you have a teenager driving, or just I always say if you drive on I-45, you might want to look at an accident plan. But they're really good and helpful for those unexpected. You twist your ankle or you get hurt on the soccer field or the lacrosse field or whatever, football. That's your accident plan. And then lastly, the critical illness plan. This one I was really pleased with how they were able to do this. So you had with Allstate a maximum of $10,000 or $20,000. That was your high-low option, right? So the guaranteed issue on this is still $20,000 for you. So you can still choose 10 or 20. It's going to be guaranteed issue up to $20,000. The spouse up to $10,000 up to age 70. But what you're able to do now is you're going to be able to have a drop-down window and pick an additional increment of $10,000 up to $50,000. So if you feel like you want more, it's affordable in your budget, you can select that. You will answer medical questions, anything above the guaranteed issue, but again, you're safe. Even if your question was a yes on the cancer, doesn't matter. You're not answering any questions with the critical illness, right, if it happens to pertain to the same, up to the guaranteed issue limit. What I really liked, though, is this, they had these childhood conditions. Cerebral palsy and cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, type 1 diabetes. We didn't have that before on the Allstate plan, so I was pleased to see that was added. Again, your spouse is 50% of what you take, and the children 25% of what the employee takes. So just kind of play around with that, use the drop-down window, and just see what that is for you. But I'm sure it'll say on there, just remember the guaranteed issues.
Yeah, and if you choose something above the guarantee issue, say you want to do $40,000 for you in the critical illness policy, you can choose that. You'll fill out the EOI, which is the evidence of insurability, which are the questions that you need to send to underwriting. And if they decline you for the $40,000, you are still guaranteed for $20,000. So it's not, you're not going to lose the entire $40,000. They just won't give you the additional $20,000 above the $20,000. Does that make sense? So if you want to do more and just see where it goes, do it. Submit the questions, and if they don't approve you, you still have $20,000. And that's the max we had with Allstate anyways. So if you have the critical illness policy now with Allstate, the maximum you have is $20,000, or you have $10,000. So you're already guaranteed to keep exactly what you have anyways.
Yeah, and what's nice about this new enrollment platform is it's going to prompt you to answer those questions right away. It's not going to be an after the fact where Joy has to agree to Joy.
There is a paper form.
Okay.
And then you submit it back to Guardian. Yeah, they didn't have the online thing, but
there is a paper form.
Yeah, there is a paper form that you can return, but you send that in, and then they let you know.
Legal Shield, this benefit has stayed the same. I brought some flyers because I want you guys to really, if you have this, I want you to use it. I don't necessarily want you to use your cancer, your critical illness plan. I have those plans as well, but I'm not looking forward to ever using those. This benefit is the one type of insurance we want you to use, okay? Take full advantage of it. Something new this year, it started last year with Legal Shield, is they are offering out individual and family rates. So for those of you who are just yourself, no spouse, no partner, children, it's going to be less expensive. And secondly, we've separated them. So in the past, it was if you got to have the identity theft plan, you got the legal plan so that you could do both. Now you could do one or the other or both. okay? And it's going to be rated 6 different options, of one, the other, both, as an individual or as family. But some of the benefits I always like to remind people about is, the unlimited advice, the phone calls made on your behalf. We say, and now it's a new app, and I have a flyer about putting the app on your phone. This just keeps it right. We talk about having, our own provider law firm on retainer in our pocket. Because literally, I click the app. There's instructions here about going to mylegalshield.com, and we had another presenter here yesterday, and he's like, I've had that for years. I don't have that app. So he was sitting here, logging in. But you have to go to mylegalshield.com initially to create your login and password. So then when you pull up this app on your iPhone or your Android, you log in once, it knows you. So it's got my membership number right there. But I can call my law firm right here from a touch of a button. I can. It says prepare your will. You can get a PDF of the will questionnaire, contact member services, and then there's a new thing that's called SNAP. You know that motor traffic violations were one thing that was covered, basically speeding tickets, if you will. So now there's something called SNAP on there where literally you can type in the court date for the ticket that you received, take a picture of it and scan and shoot it right up, submit it right up to the law firm. They will contact you and have an attorney represent you in court. What their objective is going to be, what's good for us is we don't waste a half a day in traffic court, right? But also, typically the judge that the attorney they're going to send out for you is familiar with the judge in that area, and their objective is to keep those points off your record. That's what keep our insurance from going up. But they also are very good at trying to get it dismissed, reduced, or deferred. And that's what you want as well, because if there's a court fee that the judge imposes, that's on you, but you're not paying for that attorney's time. You're not paying for them to represent you. And let's say you got a ticket in Louisiana. You were just passing through, or in Florida while you were on vacation. You're not going to go back and deal with that in another state. The attorney would go for you. They would find one in that state to go and represent you there.
I may or may not testify to the fact that they can defer it for you. And you'll never be on your record, and you won't have to pay a penny.
Right.
So I don't know that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I know for a lot of people that my sister brags about it all the time because she just is a speed demon. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to speed these days, right? I mean, you pretty much. I have a 16-year-old learning, and she's just like, 10 and 2 going exactly. I'm like, child, you're going to get us killed because you're following the rules, It's hysterical. You also have on here your emergency legal access. So we've talked about that before. This is really important. I want y'all to have this app on your phone, and please put it on your children's phone, your spouse's phone. This is a real important one. If something happens, what constitutes an emergency to call the attorney any time of day or night is A, you've been in a wreck and somebody's hurt. You would want to be able to talk to an attorney to advise you through that. B, you've been stopped by an officer, and they're either questioning or detaining you. I tell my daughter who's up at graduate school in Denton, don't get out of the car, be respectful, but you've got a button. I want to be able to talk to my attorney through this process because you don't know. You could be a victim of identity theft. That officer could think they've got a warrant for your arrest and you have no idea that's about to happen. I've met many people that's happened. Or we've had situations where another friend has something in the car that they shouldn't have, or they're not properly licensed, or we had 4 boys that were in the car and the dad had the gun under the seat. Well, the kids didn't know that, and dad didn't think about it before he let them borrow the car. Well, that's a felony, right? So that's an emergency. So you want to take advantage of that. You want to be able to push that button. And then lastly, member perks, in addition to all the other benefits that I basically tell people for any reason whatsoever, just call the law firm. Even if you think it might be of a legal nature, you're just curious. I call them even about tax questions. Talk to a tax attorney about, tax questions. But the member perks is a really cool benefit. This is a flyer on it as well. This is how I pay for my membership every month. I get discounts on this thing like crazy, especially for hotels because I have to travel. So you just click your member perks right there. Again, once you've logged in, it's going to know you, and it's for over 400 merchants. So I bought my Dell computer at a discount, hotel stays, airfare, all kinds of stuff, from little stuff like flowers, whatever, to big stuff. So take advantage of that. It's free. If you have either plan, you have this, and you'll have it right there at your fingertips on the app. And then the ID Shield, again, identity theft is a huge issue. You guys know this. I don't even have to explain to you how, 16 years in a row, it's the FTC says it's the #1 consumer complaint. It's not going away. Medical fraud, by the way, continues to be the #1 complaint. And one thing that the woman from BlueCross BlueShield yesterday shed light on is, even if you have something like your EOB and you have it mailed to you, she was saying get it electronically, because even if you have it mailed to you, that's got a lot of personal information on there. Your policy number, your address, your name, your date of birth. I probably doesn't have your social, but anybody can.
Personal ID number.
Personal ID number. So anybody can take that and use it. That is the fastest growing, and that's hard to tackle. That's where Kroll, the company that partnered with Legal Shield, really comes into play. Kroll has their licensed investigators that go to work on our behalf. It's a giant mess. And what's hard about something like medical fraud or Social Security fraud or driver's licenses, that doesn't show up on your credit file, right? It doesn't show up in the credit bureau sometimes until way down the road, when those bills go into delinquency and all of a sudden a creditor starts calling. Well, that happened a long time ago. So with the ID Shield plan, you're going to monitor, and again, I did it. We've got the app with the ID Shield. I just sat on my phone one day. I'd just gotten back from a trip overseas. I had my passport out and some other stuff, so I just sat down and just started keying things in from your passport number, your driver's license, obviously, everything that's in your wallet. So if you lose your wallet, it's in one place where they can help you to shut everything down. And now they're doing social media monitoring because, for whatever reason, people can attach themselves to your, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Twitter, whatever, and put links, derogatory things onto your name. So the more you put in, the point is, the more they can monitor. If you're not getting an email every month that says there was or was no activity on your account, you've not registered. So I don't want you wasting money by not, if you don't get that email, please know that you need to go in to myidshield.com. There's some instructions. Key everything in to let them look it over. And now they've added also a 24/7 consultation. So if you see an account or you just think something might have happened, or I had a man call me yesterday. What happened? He was applying to refinance his home, and he said that Verizon, this bill that shut down the account, he thought it was resolved. He returned the equipment. Well, lo and behold, this Verizon thing has dinged him, lowered his credit to the point that he wasn't able to, he was denied, and he had no idea. He found out at the end. Well, if that were on his, being monitored, he might have caught that a little sooner. So anyway, that's your ID Shield plan. I forgot about, that's pretty much the end for the legal and the ID Shield. Again, because it's an active enrollment, normally we say if you have it, just let it roll over. Please select it. It'll default on individual, but choose what you want so you don't lose it. You won't be disrupted in the trial hours you've been accumulating. You won't start over on the 90-day wait for like the family matters, uncontested divorce, and those things. But one last thing I always want to point out is your will. If you haven't done this, please do this, and you can change this annually. This is very important. Beneficiaries are very important, and they designate who you want things to go to. But if we pass without a will, our family has to go through the court system and pay money. A lot of people, I think, are under the misconception that it doesn't matter, they can fight over it, whatever. People say that to me all the time. Number one, don't do that to your family, please. And number two, you don't want your expenses, your finances or your family dealing with that. The other document you're going to create in here is your living will and your medical power of attorney. Those are hugely important. If we get in a wreck, if my husband and I get in a wreck and we're unconscious, I don't want my 24-year-old daughter to make decisions on our lives. That's tragic. You want those documents in place. It's free. It's part of the membership for you and your spouse. So just get that done. It's a lot easier than you think it is. If you don't agree with your spouse on the minor children, et cetera, it doesn't matter. It's your will. You put yours in, they put theirs in. As life changes, you change the will. So I hate to harp on that, but it's just really so important. And it's no added cost to you. So take the flyers here to learn about member perks, on how to put the apps on your phone and how to be sure you're registered. And otherwise, the benefits, you'll continue to have the coverage. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Kind of like the 401k, I just want to touch on this real quick. This is not an enrollment time for our long-term care benefit, you'll see down here where it says enrollment will take place in the fall of 2017. Long-term care is a fairly new benefit we started offering about a year and a half ago, and it's a little bit more complex, a little bit less understood than a lot of the other regular benefits. And so we do that enrollment in the fall separate from everything else. There's different eligibility. You have to be a RECON employee for 6 months to be eligible to get on the plan. So we do that separately, so you don't need to worry about that right now. If you are on the plan already and you're making deductions and you have a policy, you will not see the actual deductions in the enrollment site like you will everything else. They just don't have a way to load those in there. But your deductions will continue to come out of your paycheck. They're not going to change because your policy isn't changing right now. But I just wanted to remind you that this is something we will be talking about in a few months, and it's a great benefit. The website, myreconltc.com, it's there at the bottom of the screen. It's a website for enrolling when we go through open enrollment for this plan. So you'll see a link for that. But also next to that link is a link to go visit their free caregiving exchange. And they have all kinds of resources. If you're a caregiver, if you know a caregiver that's not a RECON employee, please feel free to send them to this website. It gives them checklists of where to find information, what to look for when you're a caregiver, facilities to find, information on Medicare, which is a super complex thing. They try to break it down very easily, easy to understand. So there's a supply store for medical equipment, special for different situations. So lots and lots of stuff on this free caregiving exchange. So My RECON LTC is a great resource anytime. You don't have to wait till enrollment. It's a website, so it's open 24/7. So just want to throw that in there as a reminder. I'm going to go through a couple of the free benefits, a few of the free benefits that RECON offers. Health Advocate, we added about a year or so ago. That is free to you and anyone in your family. What this organization is, it's separate than any of the insurance companies. So they're not associated with a medical, with BlueCross BlueShield or United Healthcare or Guardian. They're not associated with them. They are independent from them. And what you can do is if you have questions on claims, when those claims come in and you're like, I don't understand what this means, or why are they billing me for this? I shouldn't have been billed. I went in for preventive and now they're charging me, another $100. What does that mean? You have any of those kind of questions, refer back to Health Advocate. You can call me, but instead of having to talk to me and, divulge any kind of confidential information, Health Advocate, they're going to have you sign a form to allow them to go to work for you. You're giving them permission to contact the insurance companies and do that work behind the scenes for you, so you don't spend countless hours trying to figure out your claims or your bills. They will do that for you for free. They will help, your dependents as well. They also offer, working with insurance companies, help with elder care. They do a lot. If you have questions on your plans and you can't get a hold of me or whatever, you want to call them because you have personal information, call them directly. They will walk you through the design of the plans and how those plans work for you and what the best way to work those plans is. So that's a great benefit. The next one you guys are probably pretty familiar with, we've had it for quite a while, is Teledoc. That's where you can call in and talk to a board-certified physician for any reason. If you want advice on something, if you have questions on supplements or, on a certain diet. I heard something about supplements on the radio one day, so I turned around and called them and asked them what they thought, just from their medical advice perspective. You can also use them, and this is what we mostly use them for, is when you don't feel well. They don't take emergency calls. They're going to send you to the emergency room, or the urgent care room, I should say. But if you're not feeling well, a lot of us in the office, I think, used this over the last few months when we had that congestion, sinus infection, cough that would not go away for weeks. Call Teledoc. You don't have to make an appointment to go visit your doctor and spend your money on a doctor's visit for them to tell you you have the flu or you've got bronchitis and they can't do anything about it. Call Teledoc. They walk you through, you can tell them what your symptoms are. If they feel necessary, they can call in a prescription for you for free. It doesn't cost you anything for them to call it in for you. You will pay for it when you pick it up, obviously. But just to get that prescription called in is a free option if they deem that that's necessary. But yeah.
Sorry, it's good too that whether it's you or your kids, you don't have to go to the urgent care. You don't have to go sit in the doctor's office with somebody else that's sick and end up sick yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you can call from the office. You can call from home if it's the weekend and your doctor's office is closed. You can call Teladoc if you're out of town. You know, just the whole gamut. They're open 24/7. They will answer calls. The only thing we do recommend that you do is if you sign up, if you haven't signed up before, sign up now. Go call them now, or you can go online. You'll have to answer health questions so that when you do speak to that doctor, they have your health history and they can work off of that when they're recommending or giving you advice. So you want to do that in advance when you have, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Go online, fill out the questions for you and any dependents that you have, and that way that's taken care of. So when you need that immediate help, you don't feel good and you need to get to the pharmacy, you can go straight to talking to a doctor. All right? There's also an app. There's information on that, so you can call directly from the app or contact them, set up an appointment with them. Most of these benefits that we talked about are effective first of the month following 60 days. Our EAP program is effective immediately upon hire. And what the Employee Assistance Program is free counseling services for absolutely any reason. You can call them for financial questions. You can call them for emotional issues, if you have family issues, if you have legal questions, if you have tax questions, if you have work-related frustrations or questions or whatever. We never get any kind of record of any calls that go out, who called, how many times you've called. It is absolutely 100% confidential. They are professional counselors, and you have unlimited phone calls available to you and any household members for free. They can even refer you for up to 3 face-to-face visits if that's something you want to ask for. And again, it's 100% free, no cost to you or your family members. So to kind of start wrapping this up, because I know you're ready to wrap it up, and I am too, our benefits website, as a reminder, myreconbenefits.com. That is our portal. That's all things Recon benefits. So anytime you have a question on, what is my plan design, what's my deductible, what's my co-insurance, all of that's listed in my Recon benefits. Again, this year, everything's online. So you're going to go there. You're going to go there to enroll. You're going to go there to select the link to look at the employee benefits guide. Everything is on my Recon benefits. The Pocket Pal app, we've had this for a couple of years in place. But it's now new and improved because our new enrollment portal that we're using, Benefits Passport, will automatically download everything that you elect, will automatically download to this app if you have this app in place. Used to, if you had the Pocket Pal, you had to go in and tell it, I elected the medical PPO plan, I have the dental hygiene, you had to put everything in yourself. So it was a little bit of, more work on your part. It's still a great thing to have, but Benefits Passport will automatically send everything to the app, and then you will have everything in one place. We still want to have the apps for Legal Shield and for BlueCross BlueShield because they give you more specifics on each of those plans. But the Pocket Pal will give you everything in one place. You can keep your ID cards on there, so you don't have to carry those around in your wallet or forget them at home. You can keep your provider information. So if you want, sometimes if you're at school and they ask you for, your doctor and the fax number or whatever, you can have that. You can have that enter. That's not going to download automatically, obviously, but you'll enter that and you can keep that in the app. Your ID cards, if you need that, you can fax that directly from the app to your provider or to the school, or email it straight to someone who needs it. My daughter's in college and she has this, so she doesn't have to keep track of any ID cards. You can enter your prescription information, so you have that handy. We obviously have our phones everywhere we go, so all that's at your fingertips if you were to need it. And it is a free app. You can get on either the Google Play Store or the App Store for your Apple. Real quick, another few things that are on our website that I want to make sure you're aware of. Sherry talked about the member perks with Legal Shield, and those are fabulous discounts. We also have a Tickets at Work partnership. That's another free benefit. You don't have to have enrolled in anything, and you will get discount options for, you name it, Broadway shows, Regal Cinema, AMC, hotels, car rentals, pretty much anything you can think of. They sent out yesterday, I'm going to try to send out an email. Cirque du Soleil is coming up to, I think it's at the racetrack this next month, and Tickets at Work is giving discounts to those discount options. All you do is go register with them. That information is on our website, on the My Recon Benefits website. There's a company code that you put in, and when you register, you're going to get monthly bulletins sent to your emails as reminders of what's going on that month. Of course, there's additional stuff. We went to Disney over Christmas, and they had Disney discounts that we used. And you don't, what you're paying for is the discount of whatever you're purchasing. You don't have to pay to get discounts. It's a great partnership for us for free. La Quinta and employee discount, or employee, RECON employees, you can get discounts through La Quinta. And also want to mention CanCare. You guys may have heard us talk about them. They are a partnership organization that we work with. They are nonprofit, but what they do is if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer and you contact them, they will pair you up with someone who has been through that exact same type of cancer, same gender, same age range, so that you can talk to them one-on-one about what you're going through. They've survived it, they've been there, they've walked through every single thing that you're going to go through, and you have somebody to bounce your emotions, your thoughts, your questions off of that, actually knows exactly what you're going through. They also can partner your family with other family members that have gone through that. So it's a really, really great resource. Richard told us that when he went to the hospital, they showed up and talked to him. And he was really, really impressed with them. So we are really excited to get to partner with them. We've done a few events with them, and just wanted to remind you that that's out there. If you know anyone that's going through cancer, refer them to cancare.org. And it's totally volunteer-driven. There is no cost for it at all. And it's just a great resource when you're going through those difficult times. Our employee benefit guides, of course, you're going to go to My RECON Benefits. In the email that you got yesterday morning, there should be a link to this, but you can always get there through the website as well. There's a link on the side that says Benefit Guides, and then it'll show you which one you're eligible for. You guys know you're eligible for the BlueCross BlueShield of Texas plan. That's a medical plan. There's two different guides. We had mentioned this earlier in this meeting, but we have another medical plan for our hourly field employees. It's a limited plan. It's not a major medical like the BlueCross BlueShield is, but that plan is called the Turnium plan. That's the medical plan that they're switching to as of May 1. And so the only difference between these two guides is the medical plan. Everything else is the same. So you will want to go as salaried corporate employees. You'll want to go to BlueCross BlueShield of Texas plan, and that will be your main resource for any questions you have on plans, on benefits. It'll give you a lot more detail than we've been through today. So I recommend that you do that before you even go into the enrollment platform, just so that you're more familiar with what the benefits are and what those look like. All right, so we're going to push again and remind you guys and help us remind everybody that enrollment is required this year. If you don't select something, you're not going to have it in May. Okay, so we are going to send you out reminder emails and all of that. So if you don't want to get reminder emails, get it done early so we don't bother you. But after April 14th, remember that what you haven't elected will not be in place May 1. So you're going to go to My RECON Benefits. This is where you're going to go for the enrollment portal. Okay, it's right at the front landing page. You're going to see it right there. It's really clear. When you get there, that email that you should have gotten yesterday, if you did not get an email, please let me know. Check your junk mail first, actually. If you don't see it in your junk mail, it didn't come from me. I think it says Benefits Administrator at the top. So, the spam filter may have caught it and sent it away so that you didn't have to see it, but you do want to see it. It will have these instructions, but just as a reminder, it is a totally new enrollment platform. So we're all going in fresh. We've not used passwords in this before. So your username is going to be your entire last name, your first initial of your first name, and the last 4 digits of your social. On the old enrollment platform, just as a reminder, it used to be the first 6 letters of your last name, and that kind of got confusing for some of us. Where do I stop? And counting to 6 sometimes is difficult. And so, trust me, it's difficult. I get lots of phone calls. But so we're doing the entire last name plus your first initial. So don't forget that first initial. I got an email yesterday about somebody who forgot their first initial. It's just not working. I can't get in. Okay. Last name, first initial, last 4 of socials, your username, that will never change, okay? That's set in stone as long as we're with Benefits Passport. Your initial password when you go in right now during open enrollment is going to be your entire social, no dashes. So forget about a password you used before. When you initially go in, you're going to put in your social. Then it'll prompt you to change it to something of your choice. So to wrap us up, open enrollment yesterday through next Friday, April the 14th. Don't leave your benefits behind. Whatever you don't choose is not going to be in place. So make sure you go online and elect whatever it is that you want in place. My RECON Benefits is our website. And just thank you guys so much for your attention and paying attention and listening. And if you have any questions, again, let me know. We're going to be compiling that email to send out. Just as a last thing, this was also in the email yesterday morning, but one of the things that we're adding with Benefits Passport is they have an email support. So if you have questions, if you have technical issues and you can't get in, or if you have questions even, they're going to answer benefit plan questions as well. They're going to be super helpful. And to send them an email, and you'll get a response back from Benefits Passport. And this year, we also have a call center. So there's an 877 number, the toll-free number, that you can call again for questions, technical questions, or you can even call it and have them actually enroll you, go through the enrollment process with you. You know, you guys know, most of us here, or all of us here, have access to a computer, so it's fairly easy for us to get on, log in, and go through the system. A lot of our field guys, some of them are a little more iffy on getting to a computer, or they're not comfortable doing that. Our admins, I'm going to tell you, our admins in our job sites have been fabulous every single year. They come to the rescue, get those guys enrolled, give them their time so that they can use their computers. The supervisors, you know, are like, well, I'll just take the time and enroll them here. So they are just absolutely fabulous, helping people get enrolled that, you know, wouldn't otherwise be comfortable doing it on their own. If they call me, I typically tell them to go to a library and find a computer. But our job sites have been fabulous. But this year, we also have a toll-free number that people can call and enroll by phone. So, you know, that might be a little bit more convenient. So if you hear somebody saying, you know, I just don't have a computer, I don't have time to do that, you know, my computer's at, you know, my mom's house and I can't get there, there is a toll-free number to be able to call and get that help. Well, I think that's it, guys. If y'all have any questions? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Thanks so much for your attention and for sitting through this with us. And hope y'all have a great day. Yeah.